We spent 2 days in Charleston, South Carolina, and it was incredible. Charleston, South Carolina is an amazing city. Everywhere you walk, there's something to see. As a history nerd, Charleston really tripped my trigger. Hi, I'm Mark. Thanks for watching Any Way You Travel. If you decide you like the video, hit the subscribe button or scan the QR code with your phone. Give us a thumbs up and hit the notification button. So let's take a look at some of the must-see sights in Charleston, South Carolina. Number 1 on the list, the Boone-Hall Plantation. The plantation was founded in 1681 when a British general came to Charleston from Barbados, where he had been a slave trader. He moved to Charleston to develop a plantation. This is the old cotton gin building. The cotton gin was invented by Eli Whitney in 1794. They were used to remove the seeds and other debris from the boll of cotton, and it revolutionized the cotton industry. This is a small cotton gin or cotton engine. Prior to the invention of the cotton gin, you could clean 1 pound of cotton a day. After the invention of the cotton gin, you could clean 50 pounds of cotton a day. Cotton gins are still used today, but larger gins can process up to 33,000 pounds of cotton an hour. These are the stables on the Boone-Hall Plantation. During World War II, the stables became the home of the French-born horse, Prince Quillo, who was famous for his long-distance racing speed. He was also a sought-after sire. In fact, he was the great-grandfather of 2 Triple Crown winners, Secretariat and Seattle Slew. And this is kind of cool. It's the Butterfly Building. But when we were there, well, they didn't have any butterflies. This is the home of the Boone-Hall Plantation. This is the 4th house to be built on the plantation. It was built in 1936, and it was built with recovered material from the previous house built in the mid-1700s. It was absolutely gorgeous. However, they don't allow pictures when you're inside the house, but tours are available. Now, when a carriage would pull up to the house, they would circle around in this open area to drop their passenger off. You'll notice these odd white stairs leading up to a small concrete landing. Carriages would pull up beside this concrete landing, and that way, ladies could exit the carriage without, well, showing their petticoat. Of course, the cotton industry was built on the backs of enslaved African workers. These surviving small cabins, built between 1790 and 1810, housed the plantation's slaves. This, according to archaeological records, is a pretty accurate representation of what the slaves' quarters looked like on the Boone-Hall Plantation. Contrary to what many people believe, slaves were allowed to form community, to marry, to have families on most plantations. Archaeology has taught us a lot about the diet of slaves. According to research done on excavation sites of the homes of former slaves, it's been found that slaves oftentimes ate a more nutritious and a healthier diet than did the slave owner. Kind of an irony. When you visit the Boone-Hall Plantation, make sure you take some time to walk along the river and behind the house and take in the beautiful live oaks and the garden. This is the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon. It was built in 1771. Over the last 250 years, it's been a commercial exchange, a customs house, a post office, city hall, military headquarters, and now a museum. It was in this building and this very room that the delegates from South Carolina debated and ratified the U.S. Constitution. In fact, the Old Exchange building is only one of 3 buildings left in the country where our Constitution was actually ratified and signed. Also on display is one of the 200 original authorized copies of the Declaration of Independence. The copies were authorized by Congress in 1820. These were designed as official copies for government business. In fact, there's a copy of the Declaration of Independence you can sign, well, if you're feeling patriotic. But below, in the basement, is the old dungeon. That's right, this was used as a dungeon by the British and the Americans. The head jailer would sit here and keep track of the prisoners. Prisoners would be locked in cells in groups, and if they were particularly difficult to deal with, they may be put in hand irons or leg irons. This was a really dark and dank place. This is the Tavern liquor store, and after you get out of the dungeon, this could be the first place you head. I'm standing in front of the oldest liquor store in America. It's called the Tavern and was established in 1685. And this is the original building in which the liquor store opened. Next, we swing over to Pineapple Fountain. It was built along the waterfront park in 1990, but it has quickly become an iconic symbol of Charleston. As you can tell, families are not only allowed, but they're encouraged to play in the water. The fountain and waterfront park were built in less than a year following the devastation of Hurricane Hugo. The city council felt the community needed a win, so they went all in on the construction, and they got the win with this beautiful fountain and park. Just a short walk from the Pineapple Fountain is what's called the Battery. It's right at the tip of the peninsula upon which Charleston is located. There I am at right now is called the Battery. There were big cannons here, and the reason that was is because they wanted to protect Charleston, and this is the inlet for three rivers, the Wando, the Cooper, and the Ashley, and those would all go to the interior part of the country. So this was a strategic point to keep safe, and that's why they lined the Battery with big cannon. Now you may be wondering why this piece of artillery is so bulky and the iron is so thick. Well, it was to protect the person firing the cannon in case the shell exploded inside. This is the infamous Ryan Slave Market in Charleston. After Charleston outlawed the public sale of slaves, this is where potential owners would come to buy and sell slaves. Over the years, different businesses operated next to the market. You can purchase tickets to tour the museum. It tells the sad chapter of the horrific slave trade in Charleston. If you love shopping, then you need to check out the Charleston City Market. This market has been in continuous operation since 1680. Located in the heart of Charleston's historic district, the market used to provide citizens of Charleston with meat, vegetables, and other necessities of life. Today there are restaurants, taverns, and of course, plenty of souvenirs. This is the beautiful Cathedral of St. John the Baptist. The land for the church was bought in 1821 and consecrated in 1854. However, a fire destroyed the church in 1861 along with much of downtown Charleston. By 1890, the present structure was being built. The spire of this amazing building rises 167 feet. There are absolutely gorgeous stained glass windows inside. The church is open to enjoy. Just make sure you check times. Welcome to the French Quarter. This is called Charleston's French Quarter because in the late 1600s, French Huguenots, who were Protestants who lived in Catholic France, had to flee under persecution. And so many of them came here to Charleston and set up a community in this area, and so it became known as the French Quarter. Even today, there's a very strong Huguenot community that's centered around the local Huguenot church, which was established in 1681, and the existing building was built in 1845. The granite plaques on the wall listed the names of prominent colonists and Americans who had French Huguenot heritage. Notice they still use the traditional European-style box seating. Now let's head out of town just a little ways and go to Charlestown Landing. Charleston was originally called Charlestown after King Charles. In 1670, the first European settlers landed in South Carolina. This is a replica of the palisade wall that they built around their first encampment. Now, the local indigenous tribe welcomed them because they were at war with another tribe and they wanted the help of the European settlers. And in exchange for that help, they would help them get settled in. They gave them this piece of land. And they said, look, we will help you with planting and anything else you need help with. The local Kiowa tribe embraced the settlers. Kiowa chief Cassecu directed the settlers to this location and really helped them get established in their new homes. So it was along these shores that the settlement of Charlestown was established. This cabin was built based on accounts from some of the settlers. Could you imagine living here? Pretty primitive according to our standards. Leave a comment below. In 1670, after the English landed here, the war between Spain and England had only been over with for about 10 years, and so there was a lot of hard feelings and a lot of mistrust and a lot of hatred. So the English settlers appealed to Lord Ashley, who was their proprietor in England, to send them armaments so that they could bolster the security of the fort, and thus they received these cannons. Now, that makes sense because the Spanish are down in Florida, which is just a short ship ride from Charlestown. Raising food was the most pressing issue, so there were community gardens. Then, of course, what's a community without law and order? The Charlestown settlement thrived, and soon people began to move out into other areas that would eventually become Charleston. Next, let's head to Folly Beach. Only about 25 minutes south of Charleston, Folly Beach is located on a 12-square-mile barrier island that is gorgeous. Folly Beach got its name from an Old English word that meant foliage. And it used to be home to pirates, sunken ships, forts, and during the Civil War it was occupied by federal troops. But now, it's a great beach community to simply get away, have a bite of dinner, get a drink, relax, and just unwind. Thanks for watching any way you travel. If you enjoyed exploring Charleston, South Carolina with us, hit the subscribe button or scan the QR code. Then give us a thumbs up and make sure to click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.